Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me as always, Jack Mangan. Jack, how we doing?
Doing all right. It's a new era. How are you feeling about it so far?
It's different, slightly. I don't know what to make of it just yet. It's still early. Got one friendly and one official game under the books, so to be determined. But I don't know. I don't know how optimistic I am yet or not. So let's wait and see. How about you?
I just thought I'd keep my opening remarks significantly shorter than normal since you were in the middle of taking a sip of your drink. Because normally Richard tosses me something like that, and I run with it for 30 seconds. But no. It was nice to get into the the first game of the Wonderen era, and I'm sure we have plenty to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we do. We got to talk about the game against Hannover. A little delay, little technical difficulties on our part. Obviously, there's no 5-minute warm up into the podcast, but nothing wrong with that. So we'll talk the game tonight. Little Rivier Derby Women's Edition to maybe talk about briefly. Maybe quickly mention the whole Ben Manga and racism thing that's been going on social media. I do want to talk about a positive thing where Schalke is doing this initiative about trying to stop cancer and the kits that they put out. I'm really liking that. And then maybe I'll start real quick, Jack. I do want to say that beating Madrid isn't for everyone. I'm obviously referring to the derby. Kind of related. Talk about Champions League and obviously the 5-2 victory by Madrid. It's always nice to see that, We are not good these days, so it's nice to see other people beating up people for us.
Yeah, no, I'm looking. It takes a special kind of German team to go get a result in Madrid. So clearly, Dortmund's just not up to snuff yet. But yeah, it's not for everybody. What can you say?
Only one team's good enough, I guess. So one German team's good enough to do that in Madrid. So, but Madrid doesn't have to worry about them for a while, maybe. So, but yeah, shout out to Real Madrid for the nice 5-5 they put up on another team. But let's get into the game here. We played against Hannover 96, first official game with Kees van Wonderen. Wondering what we would be able to see from them. I know I watched the friendly. I was one of the few that I watched the friendly to see kind of what to expect from the new Schalke team, and wasn't really anything to really write home about. It's a really first game after a couple of days in charge. But the one thing I did notice was the press that was involved in that game. So I was trying to see if that could be implemented in a real life situation against Hannover 96, but result didn't necessarily go our way. Could have been worse, sure, but didn't necessarily go our way. Lose 1-0. Early goal, 4th minute by Fabian Kunze. But looking at the lineups in this one, for the host team in Hannover, you had Volkshammer up top with Tresoldi. You had Lee and Momula in the attacking midfield with Kunze and Leopold in the holding midfield roles with Woodwick, Halstenberg, name we know, Newman, Dem with Zeiler in goal. Some familiar names along this team. Obviously, they got a good goalkeeper. Their defensive midfielders are fairly known. Halstenberg and Newman are names that we are aware of. And obviously Tresoldi and Volkshammer are guys you have to take seriously. This team has ambitions for promotion this year. So this is always going to be a difficult game for us, Jack. Thoughts on Hannover and the opposition that they provided us?
Yeah, I mean, no real comments for me outside of what you already said. I think, definitely some familiarity with some of the people in the starting lineup, people that we've run into previously. And, it was going to be an interesting matchup. As you said, given the aspirations that Hannover has, and you'd like to think that we'd be in that position as well, but clearly not there quite yet. But hopefully Hannover can bounce back pretty quick.
Yeah, and obviously Van Wonderen was brought in because we couldn't stop goals, and they thought that maybe he'd come in and stop the leakiness from happening. I guess through one game. Sure, the friendly didn't give up a lot of goals, 2 goals in the friendly, but this game against Hannover, a team that can put some goals up this year. We only allowed 1, so I guess there's that. All right. Looking at our starting 11, Hoffmann in goal. I assume Heckering is still a little bit injured, but then the question mark still new manager. He makes decide who's the starting 11, so maybe Hoffmann will be here going forward. We'll see. But he started in goal. We got a back four of Merkin, Felipe Sanchez, Kalash, and Bullet. Same back four we saw in the friendly. For the most part, I think Merkin started that game, but You got Schallenberg, Gruger with Tempelmann and Mort around at the midfield, and then Silla and Karaman. You had kind of a 4-4-2, 4-2-2-2 formation. Thoughts on the starting 11 in this one?
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see, Bullet going out to right back to accommodate Kalish and Sanchez centrally. Outside of that, I mean, Templeman getting back into the starting lineup, started to hint at a couple cameos off the bench recently, getting reintegrated. Tobias Moore kind of still being that mainstay outside, and it definitely seems like Gruger's obviously found a way to insert himself between a couple different managers now, because he was finding his way into the team before Kees took over as well. And then the big thing for me is just Hoffman in goal, because that's obviously, a change and whatnot. And maybe there's something to say about the first goal with him as well. But so I'll ask you, like, how do you feel about that decision for the time being? And have I missed anything regarding, commentary that's come about with regards to what the longer term plan is there? Is that
for Hoffman?
Yeah,
I don't know yet. I mean, because Hoffman is obviously who we all thought was going to be the starting keeper going into the season. So in that regard, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, he's just another guy, right? But obviously we saw Häggkren started out very well this year, not quite to the level of I already forgot the goalkeeper from last year, Mueller, not that level of Mueller, but made some big saves, played really well in the distribution, had some iffy moments here and there, but I don't know if he's really lost the game or played poor enough to lose a position. So you bring in Hoffman, and I'm okay. I don't know. Let's wait and see. We've been there before where they made these changes mid-season and it's disrupted the locker room, right? Obviously, Alexander Nubel. So I don't know, to be determined. I don't know. As long as Hoffman plays well, I think that's fine. But when he starts having the yips or something like that, then the question marks are going to come. So I think as long as he makes saves, it should be okay.
And from Hoffman's position, once again, I totally sympathize because he was somebody that I'm assuming came over with the expectation that he was going to be in the starting lineup. And I'm not saying that necessarily promised him that, but I'm sure that was part of the discussions. You know what I mean? I'm sure they were saying like, hey, like, we've sold Muller, whatever. Like I'm sure it was being framed in such a way that he expected to have the gig and wasn't expecting, somebody who was off on loan, who clearly wasn't good enough even a season ago, to come back and suddenly have developed enough to hold it down. So I get it from his perspective. And I also understand, whenever there's a new manager, if the approach is like, hey, it's a reset, everyone's competing for places, I'm going to give everyone a fair shot. I respect that from the manager as well. But yeah, the goalkeeper position in general, I feel like can be a disruptive thing to change. And as you mentioned astutely, I think we've seen that come into play multiple times with multiple players involved. Usually Ralph Fairman is one of them involved, but we've seen it happen a bunch, and it hasn't always been a good thing for us. So just thought that was kind of the most notable lineup change.
If for me, another thing I would mention here, not the goalkeeper, but in terms of the back four, I saw this in the friendly where Bullet went out to the right, Sanchez and Kalash in the middle, and Merkin out left. And Merkin has been a mainstay, and Kalash you expect to be the main, a staple there. But we thought coming into Van Wonderen taking over, Bullet and Kalash kind of made a nice pairing together. Bullet looked better as a center back. He's complemented Kalash very well. And then, with Manga, he wanted to have some of the youngsters in there, Felipe Sanchez being one of them. And we know how Sanchez has been this year, and so skepticism with that. But when I watched the friendly, two things stuck out with the back four. Sanchez looked decent in the game. It's one of the best games he's looked, under Schalke thus far. Early sample, small sample, But then Bullet didn't look as comfortable as right back, even though I think we all consider him more of a right back. I know he's right back / center back, but he didn't look as comfortable in the back four under Van Wonderen's system. Pinched up here and there, made some nice crosses, but for the most part, defensively, didn't look as solid as he did when he was center back. So I was curious to see if that would continue into this game. As the game, obviously they got a first goal. Let's talk about the first goal because a lot of 6s and 7s back there. It was a set piece on the right hand side early in the game. You had obviously Merkin who committed a foul, stupid foul to commit. That's number one, Merkin. And then 2, ball goes in, short side, Merkin, Schallenberg there. Hoffman didn't play that well either. What did you see from that first goal? I mean, I was a little furious when I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a terrible way to obviously start off your reign as a coach if you're going to concede a goal that cheaply, that early. I mean, so that had to have been extremely annoying for the new manager over on the sideline. But yeah, it was strange. I mean, it was a free kick that was given very early in the match. It was taken from the right hand side by a right-footed player, so kind of more of an outswinger, which maybe you wouldn't expect either. Maybe like because there was a left-footed player available too. You know, maybe you get that a little bit deeper in the box, kind of with some momentum towards goal. I don't know, but it didn't seem to be super dangerous in general. Just Kunze got position.
It was the first man too.
Yeah, like right on the edge of that sort of line and hit an accurate shot, and Hoffman was not at his near post. And so I understand, you know, it's technically kind of a long ball in. His starting position is a little bit more central, and not necessarily on his near post. But I don't know. Looking at that, I kind of felt like Hoffman deserves a little bit of blame. But in general, just I think it just completely caught us off guard. It was just a surprising play to go down on that early.
I mean, obviously Hoffman should have played that near post a lot better, but I think, you know, one marking up the stupid foul, wasn't marking his guy, and then Schallenberg wasn't like fully committed in trying to stop the ball, it seemed like. So it seemed like it was multiple players there that kind of contributed to that goal. It shouldn't have happened, like you said, if the goalkeeper was ready. If the defenders were ready, it wouldn't have happened, but
it seemed more mental than anything. It seemed like it happened so early in the game, and we're on the road, and it's a new manager that like we weren't even locked in yet, and then suddenly we're down on a stupid set piece thing like that. So I don't know. It didn't seem like it was a particularly cleverly like rehearsed move by Hannover. You know what I mean? It was just kind of a ball. So it was, I don't know.
It was an interesting, obviously first goal, not the way we wanted to start. Obviously the Warriors are going to give a lot of goals, considering how leaky our defense has been. But honestly, that was really the last of the real chances for either team. First half, Schalke didn't have any shots. Didn't really have much in the game in general. 2 shots on target overall. But Hannover didn't really do much either. They dominated possession, or at least it felt like they dominated possession. I think the statistics showed it was like 55-45 in favor of Hannover. But at least, you know, certainly the first half and even good parts of the second half, it felt like it was just one-way traffic. Okay, let's take it from this. What didn't you like from the game? Obviously, losing 1-0 is not what you want, but what didn't you like from what you saw?
I'll try to phrase it this way. I'm definitely in two minds about this game a little bit, and I'll tell you why. So I'm like going into it, Hannover not a great offensive team, but a really, really good defensive team. Yeah. You know, less than a goal per game conceded. I think they conceded like 6 in the first 8 coming into this one, something along those lines, right? So even though we lost this game, you know, given how, you know, we expect Hannover to play, like, I'm not surprised that we didn't score in this one, given the record. The one thing I didn't want to see is Hannover, which is not a good offensive team, randomly have a very good game offensively against, you know, a Schalke defense that hasn't been consistent this season. That would have been sort of alarming, and that would have been really unfortunate, you know, in the first game of a new manager. That didn't happen, at least. So I thought that part was at least good. We didn't, you know, we were up to the task of what should have been, you know, a Hannover offense that I think we could handle, and we largely did. Like we said, it was an early set piece, not something from the run of play, not something where they really broke us down and created a good chance. So I think that's positive. The negative, of course, is that, as you said, we didn't have a shot until the 40th minute, or like super late in the first half. And in the second half, we had, you know, a larger number of shots, but none of them were on target. They were more flailing long range, kind of like half efforts or whatever. So I think, you know, we finished with, you know, an XG that's extremely low, almost no shots on target, probably like 1 or 2 max. And very few moments where it even looked like we were close to creating a whole lot, in my opinion. So offensively, definitely, I think some worry. I thought under Frimple we were playing a little bit more free, a lot of overlaps, a lot of movement. It seemed a much more stationary and static, sort of like positional based, slower buildup that Kees was going for. With you know, once again, more positional rigidity on the pitch. I thought a couple of the moments where we looked more dangerous was when like somebody like Templeman completely went out of position and made some sort of run elsewhere, and that opened something up. And that was the kind of freedom that was creating some of those chances also in transition for us before. The last thing I would just say is the other thing that was super noticeable was the structure, though, particularly against the ball. So 4-4-2 shape for the most part. Obviously, got to worry about passes in between the lines in that situation, which is where we were exploited sometimes by Hannover. But overall, pretty compact, pretty difficult to break down. And as you mentioned, there were some. I have to spend some more time engaging with to kind of figure out what some of them were. But there were some noticeable like pressing triggers and things that were going on in that regard, especially when the ball was with the goalkeeper after like a whistle or whatever. So essentially like a goal kick. That 4-4-2, usually Geiger or somebody else would also push up further, and you'd have against their back four, you'd have like our left mid on their right back, one of our two strikers on the center. So there's a man marking system there, plus an additional midfielder push up to immediately put pressure on whoever the ball goes to if the goalkeeper plays it short. I thought that was something we were doing consistently. So there was some other stuff that was happening too. So definitely seems like he's found a way to instill some structure. Whether or not that yields long-term results, we'll see. But we kept virtually a clean sheet outside of, once again, that just initial early goal, and then we'll just have to see how the offensive piece of it develops.
Yeah, you mentioned the pressing and the triggers. Definitely against FC Aru in the friendly, there was a lot of the tendency was like, as soon as they'd be very relaxed and then let the opposition bring the ball up, and as soon as it got very close to midfield, the team would press like crazy and cause turnovers. I didn't think they would do this because Hannover's a much better team than FC Aru, and possession-wise, they could probably break out of that. And so you didn't see that in this game, but you did see certain presses that they did go for. It wasn't as all out as they did in the friendly. So that was interesting to see. I mean, in terms of things I didn't like, you mentioned that, obviously Dusseldorf is a team best defensive record in the league, right? 6 goals allowed, as you said. But offensively, one of the things we said, like, if Van Wonderen can come in here, shore up the defense, and just let the attack do their thing, because the attack is actually pretty decent. They score a lot of goals, we'd be okay. It seemed like the offense was sacrificed to have good defense. And I get it. It's the first game. You're on the road against a team that's trying to get promoted. I understand that. I want to see how more games play out and see if this trend continues. But the attack was not there at all. I mean, you mentioned a couple of times, other than like Tempelman, moving around and freeing some space up. One of the best plays they had, at least in the first 50 minutes of the game, was where Bullet finally pushes up the field, finds Max Gruger on top of the box, who gives a give and go, and he got a nice cross off that if they had a trailing runner like Osilla or more, could have tapped it in. But other than that, we weren't really creating anything offensively. It just seems like we were in like a shell defensively and got the ball and knocked it up, tried to play a long ball and lost the ball and let them restart and start over again. So I didn't necessarily like that. And then, I mean, yeah, the offense obviously was terrible. One of my notes was that Hannover owned possession, no offense, in the first half. So
I don't even know if it was a possession thing. I think it was fairly even, honestly.
It was. It felt like it, though.
Both halves. Yeah, but we just weren't creating anything in the final third. So I understand. I mean, it seems like we're not getting anything out of it. And yeah, as Eric said, super tame.
They did more what they had than we did.
And like I get it. Like I understand as well that like the things you do offensively, shape wise, are connected to how you defend, particularly in transition. Not that I'm trying to bring up like the concept of like rest defenses or anything and get above my skis in that regard, but like I'm just saying, like I understand that like sometimes playing more positionally, keeping a more cohesive shape or whatever is going to help you maintain some sort of structure to transition to defensive moments. And if people are doing whatever they want, you can be exposed and kind of picked apart that regard. But yeah, I just felt like particularly the movement off the ball was like much lower than it was.
Yeah.
Under football and obviously under Geraerts as well to some extent. Like people were just kind of like it just didn't seem like there was much of an impetus to kind of make things happen, to get open. We were trying to work our way through whatever progressions we had kind of presumably been kind of given by the manager or whatever. And yeah, like you said, just not a lot of energy and not a lot of bite to it. So only one game. We'll see how it goes. And I think I'm happy that at least it wasn't like a high scoring affair once again, that defense was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Overall, you can't be like, super frustrated with that result against a team that we just think is probably better than us this season, based on how things have been going so far. We'll see how the second half of the season progresses. But yeah, the offense needs to show some sparks. Otherwise, I guess we probably will get worried about that pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I think, if we're supposed to worry about one position so far after the first game, it being the attack, I'm more optimistic than if it was like, oh, we leaked
Right.
up 5 goals. You know what I mean?
And against a good defensive team, for sure. That's what I was saying. Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
so I'm kind of like you though. I'm like in two minds because obviously the lack of offense was huge for us, no goals, right? But there was actually a lot I liked in this game. You mentioned the structure already, like defensively 4-4-2, very compact. When the ball got into our box, it was like a bend but don't break defense, and so like 4-4-2, very structured. As Hannover got into our box, we got very compact, like you said, got very narrow. Van Wonderen talked about I like playing narrow. I like clogging the middle, forcing opposition on the outside. And we saw that very much. What's up, Owen? What's good, Hanover? How you doing, my man? Yeah, so they clogged the middle, so they bent but didn't break. And as a result, I thought we saw some performances that were unexpected for me. Max Kruger, like you said, he's kind of coming to his own. I think he played really well in this game. I thought he's not quite Seguin where he has that offensive ability, but it has shades of it. We saw him and got a set piece, had a nice set piece, I thought, early in the second half, which he was dangerous, maybe dangerous adjacent, like you say. But I liked his performance. I thought maybe his performance maybe better than Schallenberg. But going to the back four, Bullet was okay. I liked when he did push up. Sanchez was okay. I was quietly impressed. I think one-on-one, he was very good. He cleaned up what he had, so he read plays where it could have been dangerous. Whereas a play where they like cut through our defense and the ball was going to this attacker, and he read it and he just tipped it away.
More decisive in this game. It didn't seem to be getting little brothered as much either in terms of
very
physicality.
Comfortable. He looked very comfortable. And then Merkin, a guy who I've been slaughtering for the last few weeks.
Better game for him. Solid, yeah.
Better game for him. Defensively was good. He had a wonderful tackler early in the first half, where he not only got tackled him, but got the ball and kept the play going. Much better for him. He pushed up offensively, contributed there. So I like Sanchez and Merkin a lot in this game. Kalash was steady, I thought. Hoffman, other than the one goal.
And here's what I'll say about Bullet as well. Like, yeah, not the most convincing performance from him in this one, but certainly not terrible. And like, yeah, even if you're gonna say like, hey, this guy would look pretty comfortable and pretty competent at center back, is this, even if he's relatively versatile, which it seems like he is this the guy that's going to maximize what we can do in possession? Yeah, perhaps not. But here's the thing: when's the last time we've had anybody on that side that can do that in possession or offensively down the side? I mean, like, it just doesn't happen. So at least with Bullet, you would expect that we would probably be defensively more secure in that position.
Yeah.
And that's a trade-off I'm willing to make all day. It is like, okay, fine, forget about what we're going to be doing that successfully down the right-hand side. Get a guy on there that can defend one-on-one, that can have some positional awareness and make sure we're not getting exposed down there constantly. And the one thing I will say is there was at least one moment, I think in the second half, where he did get forward on a long ball, cut inside and played a pretty nice low hard ball towards like the near post where a couple of Schalke players were running. Obviously didn't connect or anything, but like showed a little bit of something there. So yeah, that was an interesting wrinkle. So interesting to see how the personnel is going to be used going forward.
I'm curious too, like, because we did see very much. You talk about the formation defensively, offensively, a 3-5-2. It looked like for the most part. Obviously, Silla and Carmen were way up top, but the midfield was very much clogged. I guess it was Merkin who was in the middle. I can't try to remember now who the back three. I think the back three was Sanchez, Kalash, and Bullet, with Merkin more in the middle. And it has the makings of what it could be that our normal attack, which is danger adjacent. So you like to see that fluidity and difference there. Defensively solid, I thought. Just we got to work on the offense, but again, difficult opponent in Hannover, a stingy opponent at that. And then next game is against Greuther Fürth. Greuther Fürth also battling for. Oh no, they've dropped actually recently. They're now down to 12th, so it's a winnable game. They're -1 in the goal differential department, so they gave up more than double the goals that Hannover has given up. So we'll get a better idea of what this Van Wonderen team is like if we can, like you said, keep that same defensive, as you said, rigidity, and we can find a way to get that attack going. We have a chance to start moving up on the table. But like, part of me is also thinking like, if we don't, we're going to be lingering at the bottom of the table here. And then if we don't beat the teams that we have to beat, we have to beat the Regensburg, the Munsters, the Braunschweigs of the world. If we don't beat them, then my big worry is the lack of goals. We need to score goals to stay up. I'd rather score goals and give up goals and not give up anything and not score anything. And so we'll see. It's a wait and see, like you said. Long way to go, but I don't know. There's more to like in that game than not, even though we lost. So I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, and I mean, and also who knows if the structure we saw in this game was the ultimate goal of what it's ultimately going to be, or just sort of an initial structure that he thought he had time to implement in the early days, and we're going to see additional wrinkles or additional development in the shape or whatever, But I think the positive is at least you could see that there were some things that had been implemented, because sometimes a manager comes in and you're like, I don't see a lot of defined shapes, or that it seems like people know what they're supposed to be doing when. And like you said, you could see there were some clearly communicated pressing triggers that had been decided pre-match, what have you, in a pretty well organized shape. So that at least gives you some confidence that something is coalescing in the early days. Now how that bears out long term, we'll have to see. And as you said, particularly on the offensive end, but I think I wanted to mention too, and after once again, I checked the stats on this, but I think it did seem like he was having us try to play out of the back a decent amount, as opposed to once again launching long balls, that kind of thing. Now that didn't seem successful, and I think that was partially not helping to aid our offensive progression, was how difficult it was to play out of the back sometimes. But I'm wondering once again how much of that lack of success is down to how decisive Hannover were against that, putting pressure on us in that third. If we play other teams that aren't that competent, does that suddenly look better, and is the offense a little bit better as a result? Who knows? So that could have just been somewhat matchup dependent. We'll have to see. Yeah.
No, I think that's a great point. And if you look at the opponent coming up here in Greater Firth, they're in 12th position, just 2 points ahead of us. We score more goals than they do. We give up more goals than they do. So we got a good test to see, can we break them down offense, or transition the ball from defense to attack? I did notice that they play out of the back a lot and try to play through it versus the long ball, which I like. But yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes. I still think they need. I don't know. I'm curious what their plan is with Paul Seguin once he's fully healthy. What am I doing here? I'm messing this up right now. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my god.
You're good.
I'll figure it out. Yeah, there we go.
The other thing I want to reiterate too, just since I have an opportunity to, is in that back line, you have two players that are under the age of 20.
Yeah.
Sanchez is 20, I think. No, he's not under 20. He is exactly
20.
Yeah, but
20.
Bullet's 18 still, I think.
I know. He's young.
Which is insane. And he does not look 18 in terms of how competent and comfortable he looks out there. Sanchez is 20. Gruger's under 20, I think. Gruger's 19, he's maybe? 18 or 19?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a lineup at the moment where we're starting to integrate some young players, and they're looking competent. That's positive as well. I know we've talked about how thin
we're like a Dutch second division team.
Particularly in the back line, everyone's like, oh, we're still playing Kaminsky, you know what I mean? Because he's older and not as mobile and whatever else. And now we're finally being able to, as long as we stay healthy, integrate some younger people, which is nice. Yeah,
no, I agree about that. So yeah, we'll get a good test of how this is all going to shape up going forward. So a lot to see. We have to wait and see what happens, but so far it's been okay. Like I said, there are several things that are very noticeable: the structure, the compactness, the defensive awareness, I should say, which was not there previously, but also the lack of attack was also not there. So we'll see. Big game against Greater Firth this weekend to really get a better idea of where we are. Still a long way to go in the Van Wonderen and Schalke season, but we'll see, man. Because I think after this game, there are a lot of winnable games compared to obviously like a game like a Hannover or Hertha Berlin. Looking at the schedule here coming up, so with the Augsburg and the Pokal game, which I'm frankly worried about, but we'll see what kind of Augsburg team we get here. But we got Ulm is below us on the table. We should be able to beat them. Regensburg as well below us on the table. And then the Hanover game just before Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, I should say. So there's a chance here where we'll see. I mean, we'll get a good idea of what this team is like after those 3 games. After these next 3 games, we'll know if this Van Wonderen thing will have a chance to work, or start deciding what we're doing next year. Hopefully it's the former,
it's the part of the season where we're still talking about how the math can change very quickly, right? We like to talk about. I mean, Hertha, for example, a team that we're not particularly fond of, They're chilling at 7th place right now. They're 2 results away.
I know.
You know what I mean? And we're down in 14th, like 7 positions down from them. They're in 7th right now, and it, 2 quick wins where they drop points, and suddenly we're kind of in that mix. So, yeah, and the defensive, I think, aspect of it is the start of that all, because that's been our biggest issue so far. 20 goals conceded through this point of the season. That's more than 2 goals per game, second worst defensive record in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the clean sheet is a positive start, and yeah, hopefully the structure that's being implemented isn't going to nerf whatever offensive talent we have, which I think maybe where our strengths lie, but who knows?
Yeah, 100%. Let's look at what that's all I got from the game. Anything else you want to talk about the game wise?
No, I'm good on that. Yeah, we can move on.
Moving on, just got some quick thing to show from X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days. We still call it Twitter. So hey, let's do. Here we go. A little bit bigger. Okay, so first, our brothers, our friends over at Madrid getting the victory, right? Helping us out there in a long way. I did want to show us. I'm not going to read the comments, but obviously there's a racism thing with Ben Manga, or someone taking shots at Manga. Obviously, the admin for Schalke pointed out, and Schalke typically does point these things out for the most part. There was a lot of naysayers going on in the comments and stuff like that too, but no place for it in this game. I'm glad the admin called it out like it is with the name of the person. So you gotta point these things out sometimes. Whether it's the dark side of the game, it's unfortunate, but it unfortunately is part of the game, and hopefully more teams will do more, and people will do more to try to get rid of this stuff. But not a good look at all.
Absolutely.
There's more of the Madrid thing. Oh, Max Kruger talked about how playing for his childhood team is a dream come true. Says a few of his family has season tickets, and father and grandfather come to the games, trainings regularly. So another youth product. We'll see. I mean, every time we have this homegrown player that does really well, seems to go off and do something better outside of Schalke. But hey, hopefully he can contribute while he's here. I'm not expecting him here long term, but hey, anything can happen. We got a comment that says, a good thing our policies on racism are very clear. Yeah, no, that is true. Schalke is one of the teams that are very clear on racism in the world, really. So I do want to talk about this. I got to talk about this. Schalke is doing this promotion now for to beat cancer, talk about bowel cancer, breast cancer, prostate, lung cancer, all that stuff. Man, these kits, these are fire. I don't know about you, Jack. I love these kits. This reminds me of it's not quite the same, but reminds me of the 2012 kit, the ones that were like purple and blue and whatever with, when we had Rakitic and Raul and all those guys and Huntelaar. It reminds me of that. So I'm definitely going to get this kind of kit if I can. What are your thoughts on the kits that they have?
No, I mean, the goalkeeper kit's a little bit October breast cancer awareness for me in terms of like NFL, wherever. Yeah, but no, yeah, the two-tone blue on the front is an interesting look for us. It's obviously pretty different from how our kits normally presented, and got a little of the splashing pink on there and whatever else. So yeah, I mean, nice that we're doing this. Shout out to our the people that we have sponsorships with, Mini Meal and whatever else, for allowing to give up those prime spots on the one-off kit in terms of where their sponsorships would pretty much be to facilitate this. So
100%.
Yeah, nice thing happening.
So I'll definitely be trying to get those kits there. What else? Let's see. Oh yeah. So the Frauen review derby is coming up soon. It is on 10/27, so that's Saturday. Obviously, tickets are available. I wonder if the games will be streaming on YouTube. Definitely would like to watch that. As long as we win, I don't really care. hopefully they do win. Obviously, anytime we play Dortmund,
there have been many times where we've relied on the Frauen team or one of the U21 teams or whatever it is to give us a Revere victory derby when the senior men's team is not doing it. So we will be watching this with great interest.
And lots of people were, lots of Dortmund fans are very butthurt about the loss when all the Schalke supporters are chiming in and stuff like that, and they're like,
"Well, they shouldn't be talking so spicy 35 minutes in when they got a little goal either. It's a 90-minute game. Got to chill out.
So,
shouldn't be talking so spicy when you're 4-0 up at half against Schalke. You never know.
That's right. So that's all I had to really talk about there. So let's keep this one short and sweet. Well, I say short and sweet. This is our normal time here. Anything else you want to talk about? Because I'm ready to get out of here. You ready for Gruder Firth here on the weekend?
I mean, we don't have time to get into this, but my Chicago Red Stars rebranded today, which has been just go on X and look at some of the commentary about that. It's been fun.
I heard a commentary about the Boston team, whatever they're called, and there people are like, their promos suck.
Yeah, there's been some interesting rebranding rollouts in the Chicago soccer space over the past couple of years, whether it was the initial Fire one or now this one, which I don't think is nearly as bad as the initial Fire one, but
I mean, in theory. Well, one thing we didn't mention, we got the Schalke America Derby coming up this weekend. We could preview that game, but we're not going to. But it's your Chicago Bears, my Washington Commanders. Both teams doing very well with our new quarterbacks. But yeah, a little derby here. So hopefully one of us will have a victory Monday. Hopefully Schalke has a victory Monday more than anything, right? But should be an interesting game there. And by the way, the Gruder Firth match is on Saturday at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
so.
It's sad. Yeah, sad that Daniels may not be playing. I think everyone was looking forward to that QB matchup. Bears and Redskins, but we'll see.
Yeah, all the media personnel want to see that matchup, but I think the smart play by Commanders not to play him. But we'll see how that goes. So, all right, let's get on out of here. Hopefully, work doesn't suck this week, so we can do some previews and reviews of the game. Didn't get to this week or last week to do it, so it is what it is. Jack, where can our followers find you across social media?
JM Mangan, JMMANGAN on Twitter.
Very good. So Chicago Stings don't exist anymore?
We've gone from the Chicago Red Stars to the Chicago Stars. Because
Okay.
Red Stars is communist, apparently, according to the Ricketts, potentially. We'll see.
Okay.
I'll stop there. It's so I'll text you afterwards. Don't worry about it. It's great.
Okay. I'm curious now. Color me intrigued. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, you can follow us at Schalke America all across social media, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. And anywhere you can stream music or podcasts, you'll find us there. So definitely go there. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page and Twitch if you're on there as well. We'll try to do some of these we've been doing some Twitch live streams lately, so we'll do more of that. There was a press conference or a video by Tillman recently. I kind of want to watch that, do a watch along with that, and comment on that. We did one on Culture Berlin when they talked about the hiring of Kees van Wonderen. Go check that out. It's on our YouTube page, or you can go on Twitch and go check that out as well for the replay there. But yeah, we'll be back at some point. I'm not sure exactly when, but at least in the podcast. Again, hopefully it's a victory Monday for one of us at least, if not both. So we'll see. For Jack, I'm Richard. We'll catch you guys soon. Glück auf.